What if your sleep problem is not actually a sleep problem? What if the reason that you wake up tired, the reason that your mind races at night, and the reason you crash in the afternoon, the reason your reaction time feels slower, and the reason your recovery feels worse has very little to do with your mattress, your pillow, or whether your bedroom looks like a monk designed it with a Pinterest account? What if your sleep is being wrecked by hidden stressors your body has been trying to manage all day? Because for drivers, for pit crew athletes, crew chiefs, team owners, executives, and high performers, sleep is not just rest. Sleep is tomorrow's reaction time. Sleep is tomorrow's decision making. Sleep is tomorrow's emotional control. Sleep is tomorrow's recovery. And long term sleep is also brain protection. So if your sleep is broken, the cost is not feeling tired. The cost may be slower processing speed, reduced focus, increased inflammation, worse pain tolerance, poor recovery, and over time, greater risk of cognitive decline. Today, we're breaking down 5 hidden stressors that can wreck your sleep before your head ever hits the pillow. Let's dive in. Hello, I'm Jeffrey Mort. If you're like most in NASCAR's top tiers, drivers, crews, owners, or executives, while you're busy chasing podiums, have you fully considered who's taking care of you? Right here, you're about to start transforming your mind and body for peak race day performance with High Performance Health, designed exclusively for the demands of NASCAR. As a certified high-performance health coach and consulting hypnotist, I've coached elite entrepreneurs and athletes to higher energy, sharper focus, and greater resilience, naturally, safely, and backed by science. And right now, I'm bringing that same engineered approach to the best in motorsports. Here you'll find no wasted time, just a unique blend of integrative health, mental conditioning, and proven recovery strategies delivered in plain language that you can use right away. Imagine a season without burnout, brain fog, or the costly crash of your health. Because the truth is, the real race starts within. I'm grateful you're here. Yes, always grateful for you joining us here today. Welcome back to Breaking Boundaries for Champions, the only high performance health podcast built specifically for motorsports professionals. I'm Jeffrey Mort, your personal high performance health engineer and founder of Victory Lane Wellness. And if you're serious about protecting your energy, your recovery, your focus, your career longevity, and your legacy, be sure to hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode. Today, we're talking about sleep, but not the usual sleep advice. Not just, put your phone in airplane mode, keep the room cool, use blackout curtains, avoid caffeine after 1 p.m., take magnesium before bed, wear your blue blockers, sleep next to a Himalayan salt lamp while whispering affirmations to your circadian rhythm. Now, some of those tools may help, but if you've already tried the basic sleep hygiene checklist and still wake up tired, wired, restless, and unrefreshed, well, then we need to look deeper. Because sleep is not just what happens at night, sleep is the result of what your body had to survive during the day. So let's dive into why sleep matters for high performers. Sleep is not optimal recovery. It's the original performance technology. And for motorsports professionals, that matters. And here's why. A driver needs fast reaction time, visual processing, emotional control, and split-second decision making at high speed. A pit crew athlete needs explosive movement, accuracy, coordination, strength, timing, and recovery. A crew chief needs pattern recognition, strategy, communication, and calm under pressure. And a team owner or executive needs leadership, clarity, resilience, and long range thinking. Now, poor sleep taxes every one of those systems. It can affect focus, reaction time, mood, pain tolerance, inflammation, hormone regulation, blood sugar control, immune function, cravings, recovery capacity, and the ability to stay calm under pressure. So here's the raw truth. You cannot consistently outperform your recovery. You may be able to override fatigue for a little while, and you may be able to force output with caffeine and adrenaline, discipline and pressure, but eventually the body collects. And it usually collects with interest. Sleep deprivation, it's not a badge of honor. It is a performance liability wearing a team polo. And when sleep deprivation combines with inflammation, well, now we have a bigger problem because poor sleep can increase inflammatory signaling. And then inflammation can make sleep worse. Are you beginning to see just how that cycle can impact not only how you perform tomorrow, but also how your brain ages over time? That means sleep is not just about waking up refreshed. Sleep is about protecting the asset, talking about your body, your brain, your mind, and your legacy. Now, most people think sleep is mainly about nighttime habits, and that makes sense because sleep happens at night. So we assume the solution must also happen at night. Go to bed earlier, make the room darker, use the right pillow, avoid screens, take something before bed. Again, those things can help, but they may not solve the root issue. Because for many high performers, the real sleep problem begins long before bedtime. Let me ask you, what if your body is not refusing to sleep? What if your body does not feel safe enough to sleep deeply? That's a very different conversation. Sleep requires a physiological shift. Your body has to move from output mode to repair mode, from sympathetic drive into parasympathetic recovery, from scanning for threat into cellular rebuilding, and from performing to restoring. But if hidden stressors are keeping your system activated, inflamed, depleted, toxic, unstable, and under resourced, well, your body may technically be in bed, but physiologically, it's still running laps. You may be lying under a comforter, but internally, your system is still at race pace. And that's why we need to talk about these 5 hidden stressors. So, the first hidden sleep stressor is blood sugar instability. This is one of the biggest ones, and it's especially relevant in motorsports because race weekends are basically a metabolic obstacle course. Things like long travel days, airport food, track food, late meals, skipped meals, coffee replacing breakfast, energy drinks replacing common sense, and then eventually the body goes hunting for quick energy. So here's how it can show up. You skip breakfast, you run on coffee, you grab something fast at the track, or you go too long without real food. Then later, you eat a heavy meal or a snack or refined carbohydrates because your body is trying to refill the tank immediately. Now, what happens is your blood sugar spikes and then it crashes. And when blood sugar crashes, the body may respond by releasing stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline. And this is not exactly the bedtime lullaby that we were hoping for. This can contribute to waking up around 2 or 3 a.m., restless sleep, night sweats, anxiety, racing thoughts, or waking up tired even after spending enough hours in bed. And here's the performance problem. Blood sugar instability does not only affect sleep tonight, it can affect tomorrow's focus, reaction time, mood, cravings, energy, and recovery. So the goal is not eating perfectly. The goal is eating strategically. We want the right amount of protein. We want complex carbohydrates. We want healthy fats. We need minerals. We need consistent fueling, not constant fueling, but consistent fueling. Because sleep does not start when the lights go out. The sleep starts with metabolic stability throughout the day. Okay. The second hidden sleep stressor is gut health. And this is one that most people are not talking about nearly enough. When most people think about sleep, they think about the brain. But the gut and brain are in constant communication. Your gut can influence things like inflammation, immune activation, neurotransmitter production, nutrient absorption, blood sugar stability, histamine response, and especially nervous system tone. So if the gut gets irritated or inflamed, overgrown, we'll talk a little bit more about what that means in a moment, or struggling to digest food properly, sleep can suffer. And this may involve things like yeast overgrowth, bacterial imbalance, fungal overgrowth, gut inflammation, poor digestion, low digestive enzymes, or microbial byproducts that add stress to the system. So, in simple terms, if your gut is throwing a tiny biochemical tailgate party at midnight, your brain may not get the memo that it's time for sleep or even deep sleep. Some people can fall asleep. It's called latency. They can fall asleep quickly, but they're not able to stay asleep, or they're not able to get into that deep state of sleep or the REM sleep, which stands for rapid eye movement. And for high performers, this matters because poor gut health can affect nutrient absorption, mineral status, inflammation, immune stress, which is very important, energy production, mood, brain fog, and sleep quality. And this is why someone can do all the basic sleep hygiene correctly and still feel terrible. The bedroom's dark, the phone is off, the magnesium is taken, the pillow is aggressively expensive, and yet the body still won't fully recover because the issue may not be the bedroom, it may be the gut. In our private wellness practice at Victory Lane Wellness, this is where we use the advanced testing, such as organic acids testing, can become very useful. And what that looks like is a simple urine sample done right at home, and then we can look for patterns related to that yeast or bacterial overgrowth, that metabolic stress, the body's vitamin needs, antioxidant status, and mitochondrial function. Because guessing at gut health, it's a little like diagnosing engine trouble by staring at the hood. You may be confident, but there's real data underneath. So the third hidden sleep stressor and mineral is mineral deficiency. And we'll add to that heavy metal burden. I like combining those because sleep depends heavily on the body's electrical system. You see, minerals help run the wiring, and heavy metals can interfere with the signal. Minerals are not boring. Minerals are electrical. They are like these spark plugs for your central nervous system. They help regulate the nervous system, the signaling, the muscle relaxation, hydration, energy production, and sleep quality as well. Magnesium, it's the obvious one, but we also have to think about sodium, potassium, calcium, zinc, copper, selenium, and additional trace minerals. And these don't work in isolation, they work in balance. Every mineral has a specific partner or several partners in some cases. And many people assume that if they eat a decent diet, their minerals must be fine. Well, not necessarily. And most people aren't eating a decent diet either. Stress burns through minerals. Sweating affects minerals. Caffeine can influence mineral balance. Poor gut function can affect the absorption of those minerals. Travel food might be low in nutrient density. And chronic inflammation can shift how minerals are used and retained. And this is why someone can be taking supplements and still not feel optimized. Intake is one thing, but absorption and retention are a completely different conversation. Now let's talk about those heavy metals. Lead, arsenic, cadmium, aluminum, and mercury. There are others, but those are like the top five. These are not things that you want hanging around your biology like unwanted pit guests. Heavy metals may contribute to oxidative stress, neurological burden, mitochondrial stress, detoxification load, and inflammatory stress. And when the brain, the mitochondria, the liver, the nervous system, and immune systems are under that kind of burden, sleep can be affected. And that can also affect your stress output as well. So this matters for motorsports professionals because the performance cost of poor sleep, it's immediate. That means it's costing you tomorrow's reaction time, tomorrow's focus, tomorrow's emotional control, tomorrow's pain tolerance and endurance. But there's also a longer term concern. The brain is an asset. And that chronic toxic burden, chronic inflammation, and poor sleep are not exactly a retirement plan for cognitive longevity. And this is why we like the minerals and metals test. It's a simple hair sample for mineral and heavy metal analysis. And it can help reveal mineral patterns and that heavy metal exposure that may be influencing your energy, your recovery, sleep, and long term resilience. Because, as I always say, what is not measured cannot be optimized. And if your nervous system is trying to sleep without the mineral support it needs while also managing that toxic load, bedtime can become less like recovery and more like a committee meeting inside a haunted garage. The fourth hidden sleep stressor is chronic stress. Talking about cortisol rhythm and nervous system overdrive. Cortisol is not bad. It's not the enemy. Cortisol, it helps you wake up. It helps you to respond to pressure. Cortisol helps you to survive demanding situations. So the problem is not cortisol. The problem is poor cortisol rhythm. Cortisol should be generally elevated in the morning. So, well, I shouldn't say elevated, but optimal. It should rise in the morning and come down later in the day. But high performers often live in a constant stress loop. The travel, the deadlines, the race pressure, the financial pressure, the team pressure, the media pressure, sponsor obligations, family pressure, business pressure, decision fatigue, and the phone that never stops chirping like a caffeinated cricket. Eventually, the body can lose its normal rhythm, and that means you feel exhausted during the day, but wired at night. In practice, we call this the wired and tired pattern. You finally lie down, and suddenly your brain opens 47 browser tabs, and that's not a character flaw, that is physiology. And in motorsports, nervous system overdrive makes sense. Those high speeds, the high stakes, the constant noise, bright lights, crowds, competition, strategy, pressure. And then the race ends, but the nervous system does not instantly know the danger is over. You cannot slam the brakes on physiology and expect a smooth stop. There needs to be a downshift. And this is where practices like breath work, hypnosis, meditation, qigong, gentle mobility, evening walks, grounding, and nervous system regulation can become incredibly valuable. And this is also where our neurospeed mental performance work becomes highly relevant because the goal is not just mental toughness, the goal is mental state control. Can you move from activation into recovery? Can you teach the body that it is safe to sleep? And can you train the nervous system to downshift on command? For high performers, that's not soft, that is strategic. So in our practice, Victory Lane Wellness, this is also why we use tools like the stress mood metabolism test, a non-invasive saliva sample to look at hormone levels accurately. Because guessing at stress hormones is kind of like tuning a car by listening to it from out back in the parking lot. You might have a general idea, but you're missing the data. Now, the fifth hidden sleep stressor is environmental toxicity. And this is the motorsports specific one. This is critical information that you probably will not hear on a general, or I should say, generic sleep podcast, because racing is not executed in a yoga studio. It's loud, it's dirty, it's hot, it's fast, it's chemical, it's metallic, it's combustive, it's rubberized, it's solvent scented, and occasionally smells like someone lit a tire on fire inside a machine shop. Drivers, crew members, mechanics, shop teams, hauler drivers, track personnel may all be exposed to a variety of environmental stressors. Talking about ingested molecules like exhaust, fuel vapors, brake dust, tire compounds, track sealers, solvents and shop chemicals, degreasers, lubricants, what else? Paints and vinyl wrap, adhesives, flame retardants, and then, add in moldy hotel rooms and airport air, poor ventilation, and general travel related toxic load. Now, the goal here is not fear, The goal is awareness because environmental exposures can increase detoxification demand, can increase oxidative stress, can increase respiratory irritation, immune stress, inflammation, and overall physiological load. And that physiological load is what can affect sleep. Not always directly, but through inflammation and through oxidative stress, through the immune system being activated, through the nervous system stress load, through liver detox burden, and then come the headaches and the congestion and the irritation or feeling wired and worn down. And again, this matters because sleep affects tomorrow's performance. And it also matters because chronic inflammation and poor sleep can influence long-term brain health. And that is a high pain point for motorsports professionals. Nobody wants to lose focus tomorrow, and nobody wants to look back in 20 years and realize that they ignored the symptoms protecting cognitive longevity. And that is why testing and nutrition, detoxification strategies, hydration, antioxidants, sauna, recovery protocols, and environmental awareness all make a big difference. They all matter. Not because we are trying to make motorsports sterile, that would be impossible. And honestly, it'd be pretty boring. We're optimizing the human operating system to perform inside a demanding environment, and that is the difference. Now, notice what connects all five of those stressors: blood sugar instability, gut dysbiosis, mineral deficiency and heavy metal burden, cortisol rhythm and nervous system overdrive, motorsports environmental toxicity. They all increase one thing, and that is physiological stress. They can all increase inflammation, and they can all interfere with recovery, and then that can all affect sleep. So if your sleep is broken, the question is not, what can I take before bed? The better question is, what stressors are keeping my body from entering recovery mode? Because poor sleep is often not the root problem. Poor sleep may be the signal. The body may be saying, I'm inflamed, I'm depleted, I'm toxic, I'm stressed, I'm unstable, and I'm under recovered. And if you ignore that signal long enough, it may show up as tomorrow's performance dip. And eventually, tomorrow becomes next season becomes next decade, and now we're talking about cognitive longevity. That is why this all matters. So, what do? Well, we stop treating sleep like a pillow problem and we start treating it like a performance system. At Victory Lane Wellness, we look at sleep through the same 5R framework: reveal, remove, replace, rebalance, retain. Reveal what is disrupting the sleep. That might include that blood sugar instability, the gut function, the mineral patterns, the heavy metal burden, the cortisol rhythm, nervous system overdrive, inflammatory load, or motorsports related environmental exposures. Then we remove those stressors that are keeping the system activated. We replace the deficiencies that might be limiting recovery, and we rebalance the nervous system, the metabolism, the hydration, the inflammation, and the circadian rhythm. And then we retain performance through consistent habits, through testing, through tracking, and safe and natural strategic support. Because sleep is not just about getting unconscious, sleep is about recovering with purpose. So the white flag is out. Here's the final lap on today's Breaking Boundaries podcast. Sleep is not a luxury. Sleep is not a weakness. Sleep is not what you do when the work is finished. Sleep is part of the work. For drivers, for crew, athletes, owners, executives, high performers, sleep protects that reaction time, the focus, the recovery, protects the hormones, the inflammation, the pain tolerance, protects the blood sugar and the emotional control, the long-term brain health. If your sleep is broken, don't just ask, what can I take before bed? Ask, what hidden stressors are keeping my body from recovering? Because your body may not be refusing sleep. It simply may be too stressed or depleted or inflamed or toxic or unstable or activated to access it efficiently. And that is exactly why we measure, because what is not measured cannot be optimized. And just to be crystal clear, we're not giving medical advice here. We don't claim to diagnose, treat, or cure disease, but what we do at Victory Lane Wellness is help high performers address underlying deficiencies, toxicities, physiological stressors that may influence energy and recovery and resilience and sleep and long-term performance. If you're the kind of person who's serious about optimizing performance at the root level, you can apply to work with Victory Lane Wellness at victorylanewellness.com with programs built for drivers, pit crew athletes, and team owners committed to precision, to resilience, and legacy. And remember, every enrollment supports Race for a Reason, providing advanced functional testing for chronically ill children through racing-related charities. We will see you in Victory Lane. Bye-bye. And that's a wrap for today's episode of Breaking Boundaries for Champions. Before you head out, here's one more way to level up your game, both on and off the track. We're excited to team up with Therasage to bring you the Thera H2 Go Plus, a next-level hydrogen water bottle designed to keep you hydrated at the cellular level. This isn't just water, it's clean, natural, and science-backed hydration that fits right into your high-performance lifestyle. So if you're the kind of person who's ready to fuel your cells like a true champion, grab yours now. The link is in the show notes, and use code VICTORY for your exclusive offer. Thanks for tuning in, and until next time, keep breaking those boundaries.